Not since the days of Lennox Lewis has the heavyweight division had an undisputed champion. Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk, though, have signed, and they will fight for all the belts in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on February the 17th. First, though, they will face off right here today. Welcome everybody, welcome to Outer Nets in central London. We're on Tottenham Court Road, slap bang in the middle of town, and this is the perfect place to launch the Ring of Fire. The battle for Undisputed, the long-awaited battle, it is on. It is official, it's happening in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on February the 17th. Oleksandr Usyk with 3 of the belts, Tyson Fury with that WBC belt. Alongside me, Oleksandr Usyk's promoter, Alex Krasyuk. Alex, always good to see you. Tell me, when you were ringside back at the end of October and that fight was going on between Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou, what were you thinking? Were you thinking that we were going to get this date changed? Were you realising that your negotiating hat was going to have to get put back on?
I was praying that the big man does not lose the fight. He was very close after he went knocked down, you know. That was like kind of adrenaline in blood. No, stand up, fight. That was actually the first time when we all cheered up for Tyson, when we backed him. What can I say? That was a tough fight for him. That was kind of very competitive. No one could expect that from Ngannou, coming from MMA to boxing for the first time, fighting the champion, the lineal, as he used to call himself, the lineal champion, and having the fight like that. But sometimes it happens, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a big surprise to us all, I think, how good Francis Ngannou was. So all the credit in the world to him for that. How was Oleksandr after that? Did you both kind of know that you were probably going to have to find a new date? Because there was some talk about it being contractual, it had been signed, and you might hold him to the 23rd?
We've been in boxing for some time, and we are reasonable people. When you see a guy with a small cut or couple cuts on his forehead, when he's beaten up a little bit, and he went through the distance and he was knocked down, amount of time. What it means? It means that he would have to have like at least 2-3 weeks to recover. And our time frame does not allow us to have him on December 23rd. Yeah, sure, we did have this on mind, and when we stepped into the ring, it was it normally depends on a fighter, because Tyson, if he says I'm fighting on the 23rd, then the fight goes on. But he did not. He did not, because it's dangerous for him. So he will take his time to prepare, I think, and we're gonna have a much better fight. And we actually want him to be at his best shape, because it gives you no credits when you won over a guy like we saw in Saudi.
I was just going to say exactly that. Knowing Usyk as we do, having watched him for years now, since it's the amateurs and all the way through the pros, I remember saying to somebody, he won't want there to be any capacity for excuses for Tyson Fury. He will want to give him that time to make sure, as you say, that he is at his absolute best, because Usyk wants the best Fury and to beat him.
That's where a legacy comes from. A man who beat the man who beat the man. So we have one man announced himself who beat the man, but we are fighting for the undisputed. 4 belts. First time in the history of heavyweight division, we're going to have a fight for 4 belts. This is the history in the making. And if history is spoiled by an opponent being out of shape, it's a shame. So we want him to be at his best. That's why we easily agreed for the new date. And well, Usyk was already in the camp, so we did not have to reschedule it. We just made some adjustments, and here we are in London for the press conference. We want to officially announce it, and then after the official announcement, the fighter normally gets some extra motivation, and his goal, he sees the final date, and he works way harder than he normally gets.
As you said there, it's the first time that we've had all 4 belts on the line for an undisputed champion. Lennox Lewis is accepted as being an undisputed champion from the late 90s. He held three of the 4 belts. For the last 5.5 years now, all 4 belts have been the property of 2 fighters. Their identities have changed at times, but there's been capacity to make that fight for a really long time. It's taken so long. And the final piece in the jigsaw would appear to be Saudi Arabia. Is that fair?
You know, a good wine needs some time to have value. So I think this fight, as some other biggest fights in the history of boxing, also took quite a while to get prepared, but to get cooked actually. So we are here. I mean, we are in the middle. We are making step towards the fight on February 17th. With the help of God, I hope we're gonna pray for it, that the fight happens. No one's got injured, nothing extraordinary takes place in the world, and the whole planet gonna be witnessing the biggest fight of the heavyweight in this century.
So how are the preparations going? Because obviously you had a target date, now it's changed. He's a consummate professional, Oleksandr. You maybe have a little bit of time off, you retrain those sites. I know he's been out in Spain. What's going on with him at the moment, the last few weeks?
He was in Spain, then he attended the WBC convention in Tashkent, in Uzbekistan. They came here for the press conference. Then we have 3 more days on a business trip, and he's back to his training camp. But the thing is that he's traveling with his coach, with his second coach, with his team, and his schedule is not ruined anyhow. So he had the training this morning. He's gonna have one probably tonight. He's in the pace.
He's boxed, of course, in Saudi Arabia before against Anthony Joshua. Very successful evening for him that time. Really, really good fight, that too. I think that's a fight that's going to get better with age, you know. I think people will look back on that and realise just what a good win that was for Oleksandr. That familiarity is a good thing for you all, isn't it? You know what you're dealing with. How early will you look to get over to Saudi?
Normally, 10 days is more than sufficient. We're gonna have some official media things there. I expect so, but it all depends on the guys who are taking care of the fight. But you know, it's like 7-10 days is enough to make your body and your mind adjust to the environment. I don't know, seven a week before, because for the fight week, maybe 10 days. That's the issue.
Has your opinion of the fight changed at all since you saw the way Fury performed against Ngannou? I feel like Fury, being the kind of character he is, that I don't think it'll necessarily have too much of a bearing, but by his own admission and by the evaluation of anyone who knows boxing, he was very poor against Francis Ngannou. I mean, you guys must have been surprised.
And we've been surprised. That was not real Tyson Fury. He did not train for this fight. Every trainer who knows boxing, at least a little bit, would say that he wasn't good in the training camp, whether he ever attended his training camp. He didn't feel the distance, and that's number one point that shows that his sparrings, whether he had sparrings at all. His body did not look like he was training hard. He's making his condition. That's why we are not looking at his latest performance as an example of Tyson Fury for February 17th. No, we are getting prepared for the best version of Tyson Fury that the world never seen before.
So finally, tell me what is going to happen when that first bell goes on February the 17th in Riyadh.
I can tell you what's going to happen after the last bell rings.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, so the bell's going to travel back home to Ukraine.
Not since the days of Lennox Lewis
every
has
time
the heavyweight division had an
they never give
undisputed
me one. You
champion.
definitely never
Tyson
give me one
Fury
anyway,
and
but
Oleksandr
you're not in
Usyk,
that
though,
business.
have
You don't get
signed,
paid anymore
and
for
they
making
will
correct
fight
predictions.
for all the
Great
belts
to see you,
in
as
Riyadh,
always.
Saudi Arabia
So,
on February the 17th. First, though, they will face off
shortly.
right here
The battle for
today.
Undisputed, the one we've all been waiting for. It's here. So Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk in the building, as you can see there. They've been doing a face-off backstage, I believe, with our good friend Carl Frampton, which I'm told got quite interesting at one point. And Fabio Wardley joins me on the desk, as he did yesterday. I think the interaction between these two today will be pretty fascinating, because we saw Usyk at ringside in Saudi Arabia. He couldn't quite believe what he was watching. The dates had to be put back. That's not ideal for his purposes. They've now settled on February the 17th. I would be surprised if there's some tension between these two.
Yeah, they're both very much characters in their own right. So I think when they come down and sit together on the press conference, I think they're both got a bit to say about the other one. Maybe a bit more than if each of their fights didn't happen and maybe they got it on sooner. I think this time around maybe there's a bit more there. There's been a bit more comments said back and forth and things, and then obviously with both of their most recent fights, I think they've both got a few holes to pick at the other one.
We were talking to Alex Krashik earlier, and he was giving us his thoughts on what it was like sitting at ringside watching that fight. You had your fight earlier in the evening. I don't know what you did after that. Did you take your place at ringside and watch the main event? I mean, what were you thinking as you were watching that? And do you think it'll have any bearing on what we'll see in February?
It's definitely got to have some bearing. It probably will on both of them as well, because I think Fury will look at that and be like, it's definitely not one of my best performances to date. Maybe there's some things to adjust. Maybe I need to look at my training, however. And Usyk will look at that and think, okay, there's some flaws there. There's some points there that may not have necessarily cropped up or shown their face in fights previously, but they definitely did rear their head in that fight. And maybe both of them will look at that and be like, right, there's moments to pick from here to take from and to make better or improve on.
Do you feel that, in a way, having that kind of experience against Ngannou, where he did take his eye off the ball, we don't really know what training camp was like, but you ask seasoned observers and they will tell you that they don't really feel like he would have trained full force for the fight, given the way that the contest went in the end. It's just a kind of reminder, isn't it? No matter who you are, if you don't pay attention, things can go wrong, and maybe not the worst thing in the world for that to happen to him before this biggest fight of his life.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think if boxing does one thing for a lot of people, it always gives you a very cold reminder that you're still human. No matter how long you've been riding the wave and cloud nine for your wins and other accomplishments within the sport and that, I think boxing has a very nice way of showing you, look, you may have got away with that one a bit lightly, but if you keep slipping or you keep messing up, or if you don't refocus, then things could go very much south the next time around.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. It reminds me of ancient Rome, when the returning general returns to Rome in triumph. He'd be riding through the city in his chariot, and he'd have a slave next to him whispering in his ear, "Remember, you are just a mortal."
Yeah.
There you go. So you picked on exactly there. That's exactly what we're talking about. For Usyk, he's that guy who just seems to be, laser focused at all times. You'd imagine he doesn't really stray ever too far away from the gym. I've never really seen him look any different to how he looks every time he gets into the ring. If you're him, are you looking at Fury and thinking, okay, this is a guy who has been at the top for a long time, maybe that focus has just gone a little bit and I can exploit that?
Yeah, definitely. I think as a fighter, especially when you're coming up against top level people, you're looking for any any little win, any little crack in the armour that you can pull from and focus on and double down on and go, all right, cool, this is an area for me to pay attention to. And whether that be Usyk thinking that maybe he's at the back end of his career, so he's finishing up and he's a bit more, maybe more disinterested than he has been for previous fights, or there's always the other side of it that maybe it could be a step too far and maybe it's not quite.
Okay, so joining us is Hamza Shiraz, middleweight force on the rise. Commiserations first of all, because I know you were set to fight on December the 2nd against Liam Williams. I was really looking forward to that fight. I think it was a great next fight for you, but unfortunately it's not happening.
Yeah, no, unfortunately it's not. I picked up perforated left eardrum about 2.5 weeks ago in sparring, and it's just one of them things now. So it's just all about getting on the mend, and I can't do nothing for another 3 weeks. So it's just all about recovering now, and the fight will happen. I think go ahead in February, hopefully.
Okay, it's a serious injury, that, isn't it? It takes, it affects your balance, it affects all sorts of things, and there's no real rushing it. So you thought that you would come along here today and just see what was going on, and it's quite some event. All of these events have been. Yeah, no, for sure. I think seeing Frank, Matchroom, and everyone working together yesterday was something that I don't think we thought we'd see anyway. But it's definitely a great breakthrough for the sport and overall as well. So yeah, man, it'll be looking forward to it for sure. I was listening to the podcast you did with George Groves the other week and Dak Taylor, and it was very entertaining, Fabio, listening to him talk about training in America and how people hear about that and think, oh, this guy's got it made, he's got everything, he's living in luxury stateside, the best of everything, and actually it's a very, very different story, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember that, like I said, the first time I went there, I thought it'd be the same thing. I thought I'd see palm trees, sandy beaches and what.
Sun and
that, exactly. Get a tan and whatnot, but no, it's the complete opposite. It was the complete opposite. But I think to get to the top in the sport, you kind of need to be in them rough and rocky almost situations. But yeah.
Does that feel good for you? That kind of almost switching up, throwing yourself into a new environment and giving yourself a bit something new.
Yeah, at the time it did. Because went from living at home, training, kind of being in luxuries you don't even realise you have around you.
Home comforts. Home comforts.
And then I went from that straight to chucking the deep end, going to the wildcard gym and getting my head punched in for the first few weeks. But no, like you said, you need it kind of to. It was more a rude awakening for me. If that
it throws you out of your comfort zone a bit and gets you to double down in some areas maybe where when you were at home you might be thinking, you can skip this or miss that. Whereas
but you don't even realise the thing. You don't realise at home. But like I said, you're in your comforts without even realising. So when you're away from it, you think, okay, it's serious now.
So with regard to this, we were just talking about what kind of a bearing, if any, what happened in October between Fury and Ngannou might have on this fight. I was sat there watching it like Fabio, like everybody really, I think, just unable to believe what I was seeing, to be honest. And it was tricky, wasn't it, to know. You've got to give Ngannou a lot of credit, a huge amount of credit, but at the same time, it was a massively under par Fury. Yeah. The whole thing was it was odd, wasn't it? Yeah,
no, for sure. But when I was watching it, I was thinking about it, and I was trying to put myself in Fury's shoes. And even with me, when I spar, I wouldn't say a novice, but someone who just started boxing, it's kind of hard to predict what they're going to do. When you fight, and you'd know, when you fight someone who's on the same caliber as you can almost read patterns, and you know what exactly, not exactly, but you know if I feint, they're going to react to it. Where someone who's not even been in the ring, if I was to feint and they don't react to it, you think, what's happening now?
It leaves you. We had this conversation yesterday with Andy Lee, talking about Deontay Wilder and how he has a very unorthodox style in the way he goes about fighting and things. And we was asking Andy if that makes it him difficult to plan for and down to train for with Parker, because, like you say, there's those kind of almost set on agreed patterns between two boxers of, if I do this, you do this, or you do an option of 2 or 3 other things, but you should do this. And then you get in there with someone who's completely new and they don't do any of it, and you're like, hang on, mate, you're not playing by the rules here. Like, can we
cooperating?
Yeah,
exactly that.
Maybe Fury found a bit of that on the night.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something in that. With regard to the matchup between Fury and Usyk, personally, I've always made Fury the favourite because I feel like they've both got outstanding skills. Not the same, but both got outstanding skills. And he's got the ability to make the size count. I mean, how do you look at it?
exactly what you just said. He knows how to use his size, and the thing about it, he's athletic with it as well. And in my opinion, if you're fighting someone like Usyk, you need to almost be able to do what he does, but do it better, and kind of nullify the movement that he makes. And you've got to remember, Fury will have the grit between his teeth now, especially after the last performance, to go out there and prove that extra point.
And just a word on yesterday, actually, while we've got you here, you'll have seen the announcement like everybody else. Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder sat a few seats away from each other, not fighting each other on the 23rd, but we think it may not be too long before they do. You look at that kind of card, and you look at the fact that a stablemate of yours, a promotional stablemate of yours, Ellis Zorro, has managed to get a slot on that card, and there's going to be more of these events. I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, come on, Frank.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. I wanted it to be on the undercard in February, but that ain't gonna happen this year. But listen, it's creating a lot of opportunities for myself and for fighters up and coming as well. So, like I said, it's great to be in the mix for sure. It's great to be, I think, part of boxing anyway now, part of boxing as a whole. And it's hopefully, let's see, maybe next year I'll be out on a card, or maybe one of your undercards out there. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how things go.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just waiting for the principal players to arrive for this press conference. In terms of how they play it, with regard to mind games and everything else that might go on here today, we know what we'll get from Fury, or we feel like we do, because he, generally speaking, doesn't like to be too serious. Usyk, I don't think is a kind of guy to bite at any of his nonsense, but I also don't feel like he's a man who's got massively high tolerance levels for it either. So if you were kind of put yourself in the place of a Fury opponent, how would you, both of you actually, how would you handle him? Because Wilder, for example, for that third fight, he put the headphones on, he would do anything he could to disengage, because he didn't want to be investing any emotional energy with Fury, because he knew it was not a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's a funny one, because I think, for me at least, I think I'd do very much what Wilder did that time around and just not get involved, because you're trying to almost beat him at his own game. That's what he wants from you. He wants you to get involved. He wants to try and draw your energy. He wants to get all hyped and stuff, because that actually works as almost like a plus, as a buffer for Fury, because when he gets the crowd going at a press conference, or he gets everyone chanting, or he calls someone a sausage and everyone starts cheering, that gives him an extra bit of energy. So if you can, at least for me, I would think that if you don't play into that and you can keep him as low level as possible, keep the energy flat and save yourself for the fight night.
I think ultimately it comes down to how you are as a person, how you are as a fighter. But I think it goes down to what Fabio was saying. At that level, it's all about the 1%, and even on a big platform like this, you see your opponent react to something you say. You might even use it in the fight, for example. You know what I mean? So, like I said, ultimately it comes down to how you are as a person.
The pair of you, if I've got this right, you're not really going to look to push anybody around, but you won't be pushed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of quite Usyk-like, isn't it? So you two are more like him, I would say, than Fury. Is that fair?
Well, that's quite a compliment. I'll take it. Thank you.
No, but in approach, I mean, of the two, the pair of you, I think you're more like the Ukrainian than you are the Gypsy King.
Definitely closer to an Usyk persona than I am a Fury, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, I'd say so as well. I think if you're going to go with a Fury personality, you need to do it from day one. You have to do it from day one, and it's
can't be something you pick up along the way.
It can't be nothing you force, for sure. Yeah.
So just to go back to your own plans, hopefully getting that fight with Liam Williams rearranged for February time. As I said, I do feel like that is a really good fight for you, and you're at that stage, aren't you, where just pushing on to the next step, both of you actually, pushing on to that next step is not always the easiest thing to do, because the board have put you together with Denzel for the British title. So whoever wins out of him and Nathan Heaney on Saturday is supposed to fight you. Is that, I mean, as far as you're aware, is that still going to happen?
I believe so. But it's fights like this against Liam Williams where fighters tend to mess up. They start overlooking, and in some people's head, it's almost a done thing that you're going to get the win. So I can't really worry about what I'm going to do too much after this fight. I need to crack on with it and beat Liam Williams, and beat him convincingly as well. It's not just about going in there and picking up the win and that's it, here we go, on to better and better things. It's all about going in there and putting on a show, and to show that I'm a force to be reckoned with in the 160 division.
Is it difficult when you get to a certain level and you're British and Commonwealth champion now, not to plan ahead though? Because in this sport you kind of do have to plan ahead to a certain degree. I mean, at some point the board will tell you who you're going to have to fight, but it might not happen for a bit and you'll get to choose. These things are bound to be going through your mind. I mean, the one fight at a time thing is fine, I get it.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you're not doing it, then somebody is.
Yeah. You've always got to look to the future, but boxing's always a funny game as well, because I remember points in my career where I was like, right, I'm going to do this, and fight these people and these dates and whatever, and someone loses or you get an injury, and you think, I had that with my English title fight against Simon Vallily. I got an injury as well and I wasn't able to do it, so I had to delay my plans and things, and then actually COVID hit and everything changed around. So you always have to have a look at the landscape and say, right, yep, I want to do this, but then a lot of the time as well, especially in boxing, things move around.
So, that stage behind us, that will be populated before too long. Frank Warren will be up there as he was yesterday. Alex Krasniqi, Klimas, the redoubtable team behind Oleksandr Usyk. This has taken a long time to make this fight. It's been a long time to get together. Okay, so thanks very much for your time, Hamza. Great to see you.
Thank you very much.
Commiserations about the injury, but hopefully we'll get that one back on before too long. And we're going to usher in Idris Virgo. Another man on the rise. Idris, good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Anytime, man. Showtime, baby. It's showtime.
This is a bit of you, isn't it?
Oh, 100%, man. Like, listen, they need to get me on this card, man, because, it'd be fireworks if I was on a card.
So is that the main mission here today, to come and see if you could just sidle into a room with Frank and have a conversation?
Trouble. Give Frank a nudge and say, hey, come on.
100%, man. Like, listen, if Living It Arthur don't pull up on so the 23rd of December, I don't mind stepping in against people, you know what I mean? I'll give people a good run for his money, why not?
I mean, you'd fancy a fight with a Fury, wouldn't you?
Listen, I'll fancy the fight, but I don't think he'll fight me. I don't think he'll fight me. Why you think he'll fight me?
Well, I mean, anything's possible these days, isn't it? Anything is possible. It's a brave new world.
Oh, yeah, but Tom's a coward, man. He's not going to do that. I just don't think he's going to risk losing at 0 against a crossover boxer. I just don't think he will do it. I don't think he'll do it.
So there haven't been any conversations?
No, there haven't been no conversations, really. I don't know. Then again, if I do fight him, I will have to knock him out because I don't want to lose in a sense of because his last name, you know what I mean? And in the same way, that could happen. So we'll have to be going in there to knock the guy out. And if I did fight Tommy Fury, I'll call him. I'll put him to sleep, 100%. So you never know.
So talking about this, though, it's the fight that we've been waiting for such a long time.
Yeah.
We were beginning to wonder whether it would happen. I was losing the will to live with it a bit, as I have been for the last 5.5 years waiting for a fight for Undisputed, because for that period of time, all 4 belts have been with 2 people. The identities have changed at times, but that's what we've had. And it's a relief, isn't it, for everybody in the sport that we're getting this, because we've had some big ones this year, and the heavyweight division was dragging its feet a bit.
Do I? Yeah, it's a good sign it's happening, and it shows, like, in a sense, money will make people get in the room and fight. Like, a big enough paycheck. I've got these 2 guys now fighting, and it should be like that, because now these guys will have to go to Saudi Arabia to fight, and in the UK and around here, it's like the promoters don't want to put their hands in their pockets to get these fights on. So it's a good look, man. And I've been to Saudi last time for Francis Ngannou v Tyson Fury, and that was a sick show. And I see you was fighting as well, man. Yeah, he was fighting as well.
I was there doing a little something.
Yeah, so that show banged. So Saudi Arabia, man, they're stepping the levels and they bring the new era to boxing, and so I can't wait, man, especially for this fight as well.
And what are your thoughts on the fight itself? Because, I mean, some people are thinking that what happened at the end of October, how flat Fury was, that maybe that has brought Usyk up in the bookmakers' estimations. Do you see it like that?
Yeah, 100%. I had Fury as a favourite before, but when Francis Ngannou was switched to southpaw, it showed a little twink in the Fury's arm, and like, does he really like people to fight in southpaw? And then when Francis was pushing him back in that stance, it was quite tricky. And I'm thinking, if this was Usyk, how would this end? Like, would Usyk, I don't say knock him out, but would Usyk just win on points? And Usyk's kind of like, he's slow with it. He's like got a nice defense. So now I'm kind of turning myself to like, okay, I think Usyk might have Fury if he has another bad day in the office. So just from that performance, man, it's like I'm sitting on the fence. I'm like, what I say Tyson, what I say Usyk, it's hard to freaking judge now. It's quite hard.
Fabio, what are you expecting in terms of the start of the fight? Because we were talking yesterday about game plans, and these are two fighters who are incredible reactive fighters, aren't they? Their attitude is, whatever you do, I will find an answer. But when that first bell goes, that's when whatever plan you have, you're going to look to try and execute it, surely. What would you expect to see from each of them right at the start?
I think it will start off quite tentative. They're both very smart boxers. They're going to want to have a look at each other because they know each of them has a box of tricks for each boxer, so they're not going to want to rush in and even throw all of their game plan out in the first 5 minutes as well. They're going to want to have a look, see what you're going to bring to me, because both of their last performances as well have left question marks. So I think they're both going to look at each other and say, right, how are you coming out? What Fury, what Usyk is coming to fight me today?
Okay, thanks very much, Idris. We'll let you go. We're going to swap you out and swap in Spencer Brown, Tyson Fury's manager. It's like a game of boxing. It's like a game of boxing top trumps. This, Spencer. There you go.
How you doing, champs?
Good. I'm slightly nervous because you didn't see this earlier on, Fabio, but I was doing an opening link and Spencer, he pulled me up. He pulled me up on wearing a jacket over my hoodie.
It's not a great look, is it? It's a little bit American.
He pulls it off.
Actually, well, look, getting close. It's not too bad. Yeah, go on. I like that.
Very kind. My wife's been styling me, so she'll be pleased about that. So we're here.
Yeah.
February the 17th.
At last.
Absolutely. It's been a lot of hard work for everybody. You've been right at the centre of that.
Yeah.
How was it after after October the 28th? Because
it was mixed emotions for me, but it was so good out there. I mean, this big fella here will tell you how good it was out there. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was something special.
They looked after you like royalty, and we really couldn't wait for the next one. And all of a sudden, the opportunity of the 23rd come up. So we've worked very hard, tirelessly on it for a couple of weeks, got it together, and look, this is where we are now.
I mean, it is incredible, that card that's been pulled together for the 23rd in the amount of time that it's taken. I've never known anything remotely like it, but what we were all really waiting for was
tonight.
This, wasn't it? Was this.
We've been waiting a long time. It was done very easily, the deal. We done it in a matter of days. It was... people talking about Tyson didn't want the fight. We contacted them. I was sent by Tyson to go and get this fight. We contacted them with George Warren and Frank Warren, and they were quite happy. They were quite happy to do the fight. So here we are, and this is going to be the biggest fight that we will ever see.
Okay, so another one of those masterminds that Spencer was just talking about. Frank Warren is
there he is. There's one of the masterminds behind it.
Circles around the back. He'll have to share a microphone with me.
Are you Frank?
Okay.
Nice to see you, Frank. I was just telling him how tirelessly we'd all worked on doing this.
What's the earliest night?
Well, I think we all got to bed. I think our earliest night was 3 o'clock in the morning. So there you go.
Every night?
Every night. And it was mostly fives. So.
But I mean, you've been doing this a really long time, and Bob with Top Rank as well, and you mentioned Bob yesterday when you're up on the stage. But this, I mean, there's always something new in boxing, isn't there? There's always something that comes along that gets your juices flowing in a way that maybe other things haven't. And this is kind of it, isn't it? Because this fight, I've been saying ad nauseam the last few weeks, 5.5 years, both belts have been held by two fighters. Identities have changed at times. And I was wondering if it was ever going to happen. And now we've got it.
But you know what? People don't understand. He won on his rematch was last August, Usyk. So it's less than, what is it? Just over a year. Sort of roughly 18 months' time the fight goes on. And had Tyson hadn't been able to fight on the 23rd, that would have been just over a year. It would have been unified. It's the quickest a unification match has ever happened. You go back to look at Lennox Lewis against Mike Tyson, that took 10 years. Mayweather, Pacquiao, 10 years. Lennox never fought Riddick Bowe. Tyson's fought Klitschko, the best of his generation. He fought the six-year reign of Deontay Wilder, fought him 3 times. So he's fought everybody there is to fight. He's not ducked anybody. He's been out there to do it. And I think the expectation level and some of the sort of misapprehension of these fights being, we don't want them, we're not making them happen. It's just a nonsense. He would have fought him last December had Skills Challenge come up with the money they promised to pay. Didn't happen. So we've had all that, but at the end of the day, through all the team, especially under the patronship of His Excellency, he that's made it happen. Get everybody together, do it. This guy's worked his absolute.
Thanks, Frank.
You can't believe it. He's really done well, and behind the scenes as well. My son George, he's done.
We worked very hard together, me and
they're
George.
really worked hard. So it's all done. So it's been a team effort. But you know what? At the end of the day, the hard work will take place on the 17th because they're the guys who are going to take the punches, and you're going to see the fight that we've all been waiting for. For the first time this century, 4 belts will be contested for. It's nearly a quarter of the century's gone. And it's happening. And you know why it's happening? Because Tyson Fury's making it happen.
Correct.
So we'll speak to him later on, hopefully. But what's Tyson been like since the fight at the end of October?
Listen, he's getting an enormous amount of money. He's up for this like you wouldn't believe. I think you'll see a completely different Tyson Fury. He's going into camp early. He's going away. He's leaving his family. So he's going in it hardcore. He's up for this. And you will see a completely Tyson Fury. And we think, and as well as Frank, all of us think this is going to be a win for Tyson Fury. Simple as that, a win. We don't expect anything less or want anything less.
You look at that last fight. We talked about it a lot, but he had nothing. He had no footage and nothing to train him for. Everybody's saying, "Oh, this is going to be a knockover. It's a nothing thing." Ngannou doesn't bring anything to the party. Well, he did. He brought this. He brought the power that he's got, which we see, and Tyson felt and what he brought, which nobody knew he had, was some serious boxing ability. I bet you was as shocked, I think, as everyone was.
Yeah, I think everyone was.
He came out and he showed that he could fight. And Tyson had an off night. He wasn't himself, but he won the fight. You look at the punch stats, everything. He threw the quality punches. He won the fight. Can he afford a night like that? No, he can't. And he knows it better than anybody. But he knows what he's training for. He's seen all of Usyk's fights. He's seen everything you need to know about him. He knows what's going to be in front of him rather than stepping into the unknown.
Frank, your press guy Matt Rich is demanding you. So your press guy Matt Rich is demanding your presence elsewhere.
I'm off.
I'll have to let you go.
I've got to go and make the teas now.
Stick me a couple of biscuits in there, Frank, will you? Thank you.
I'll dip them in for you.
So Spencer, before we let you go, just give us a little bit of an idea of what it's kind of like in the role that you're in. You're on the inside of all of this, and your name was mentioned plenty yesterday, so people are kind of getting to know you a little bit more now. You're the kind of guy who's happy enough just doing your work. You're not courting too much of the limelight. But what is it like being on the inside of these massive fights?
It's like a fairy tale. If you're a boxing fan like I'm a massive boxing fan, I've been involved in boxing for 20 years in one way or another. So for me, it is a fairy tale. But Tyson's put me in this position, so I'm very mindful I've got to work for Tyson, but he's allowed me to do this as well. So I'm not going to drop the ball. I'm going to make sure that Tyson's 100% on that night, and maybe we made some mistakes. Maybe I made some mistakes, but it won't happen again. So I am just. It can be very overall. But it's non-stop. It's a 24-hour day job, this. And if you're not ready for it and you're not up for it, then don't bother.
How many times a day do you charge your phone?
It's on constant charge, actually, and it never stops.
It's always a good barometer, isn't it? How many times?
It never stops.
How many times a day have you got to plug it back in?
My wife's left me twice, so it's going to cost me a few quid in divorces. But anyway, what can you do?
Fabio, you've got a really good team behind you, so you've got an idea, haven't you, of what goes into a career behind the scenes, and then you're a British champion.
And by the way, a good British champion.
Yeah, absolutely. You can imagine what it would be like when you get to that level of world champion.
My fight weeks are pretty entertaining enough as it is with my team and stuff, and I can't imagine the type of character that Fury brings to a fight week, and and how he wants to go about things and doing things. We always know he's very unorthodox in the way he goes about doing a lot of things. So
he's very unorthodox.
I think this man, like, has to
You
very
know,
much think on his feet.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, you get called a yes man, and people say, "Oh, you're blowing smoke up his arse." Simply not true. Tyson is a one-off. He makes a lot of his own decisions, and he most of the time he's made the right ones because he's unbeaten. You can say what you want, he's unbeaten, and he will be unbeaten after the 17th February. I can assure you.
I think you can say as well, especially working with boxers, we're not the easiest to work with. We're quite hard-headed. We're quite sure of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time it's probably our way or the highway.
But for me, you've done something that probably nobody else has done. You've come from a white-collar background, an unlicensed background, and you've made it into the big time. And you must be very proud of yourself to do that, because I can't think of anybody else who's actually done that.
I'm not sure. I'm winging it. I'm just figuring out as I go.
I don't think there is, and I think you've got a very bright future.
I should get some sort of belt for that. Is there a white collar to professional belt?
Stroke, yeah.
I add that one to the list as well somewhere.
But
get on to Maurizio.
You need congratulating on that. You need congratulating.
I appreciate that. Thank you very
no
much.
amateur experience. It's incredible.
It's remarkable. I was saying this to someone.
It's
ringside.
an achievement on its own.
Yeah, I was saying to someone ringside after he won that it's actually kind of astonishing.
And just didn't won very well.
Yeah, no, it's actually kind of astonishing how good you are, given how the amount of time you've been boxing. Genuinely.
I lost a few quid on him.
Well, there's another man who might have lost a few quid. There's another man who might have lost a few quid lurking in the shadows over there. Spencer,
well, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
All the best. Thanks,
We'll let you go.
Cheers.
Spencer Fearon. Spencer Fearon is going to sidle onto set. Spencer, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, very well, thanks.
I mean, last time I saw you were in Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, you were we were sat next to each other watching the undercard next to Tima Town, I think I was sat next to Moses de Talma's mum actually.
That's right, you were, and his dad was sat behind us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was it was very, very enjoyable watching the undercard. The highlight of which was his fight against David Adelaide.
My friend, like, that was very impressive, and I'm not even trying to cause no trouble on Fraser Clark. Right? I'm just going to keep this thing 100. I'm keeping it 100. Fraser Clark.
Who was a few seats in front of us.
That's right. And then he turned to me and he said, "There's no way on earth that can't fight me. That can't fight me." I said, "You know what, bro? I think he can, you know."
No, it was good to see, back in there, Jalolov was there as well, Fraser Nosin from the Amateur Day, so they went and kind of said hello to each other. There was a lot of people around ringside, who had connections, who knew each other. And by the time your fight came to the ring, actually throughout pretty much the whole undercard, it was well populated, that stadium. People wanted to see it. There were lots of fights there that people wanted to see.
It really was. Which was actually almost surprising, because when you heard about the two arenas being separated, you wondered kind of how it would play out and stuff. But the crowd there was crazy. They were actually really loud. They got involved. They were chanting and all sorts. So it was a great atmosphere there.
What was the feeling like going out in a foreign country, defending your British title? I believe that the last time that happened was Scott Welsh when he fought James Oyabola, where they fought in
Atlantic City.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's why
Lennox
some people know
undercard,
boxing. That's what we mean.
Yeah.
You stay at this, right? So what?
Yeah.
So
he got knocked out, didn't he?
Yes,
James
he did.
Oyabola knocked him out.
James Oyabola knocked him out, and Herbie Hyde was ringside. He said, "Herbie, I want you, Herbie."
And then he knocked him out in a rematch.
Knocked him out in a rematch. I used to call Scott Welsh the Maxwell House fighter. Because remember, he always used to shake his hand like that before he threw the right hand. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyway. Yeah, many moons ago. Yes.
No, he was a terrific fighter. Another British and Commonwealth champion.
Scott Welsh was at the fight as well. Scott Welsh was sat 2 seats behind me watching you fight for his old title. Yeah. So it was a very emotional time. And like, what I've got to say is this. A lot of people will say, Fabio Wardley, well, he had no pro fight. He didn't have no amateur experience and blah. Bro, you are a natural athlete, and also you hear by his diction, he's a very learned man, right? You could tell because you throw educated punches and you're very thoughtful. You know how to gauge range. How you put these combinations together is very impressive. You put them together, and you know what I mean. And for a big guy, you got hands on you. Well, you got to just keep on doing what you're doing. I'm telling you the truth.
It's good. It's been a lot of building, but There's been a lot of adding pieces to it and building things together, but it's coming together very nicely. I'm liking the way my career is developing, the way I'm moving, and the progression I'm heading. Like, obviously the wins are great and stuff, but I'm looking at me as a boxer and going, right, that performance was good. Where did you mess up? And I think on each one you're seeing a bit more of me as well. With not just, look, we all know I can get involved in the tear up, and I don't mind throwing it all on the line and getting involved. That's not a problem, but showing that, hey, look, I can actually box as well, I know how to do all these things properly is something I'm slowly showing off.
Continue doing what you're doing.
We've just had a 5-minute warning from Deb, so we haven't got too much longer. So let's move on to
I can speak for an hour.
I'm well aware of that.
We know.
Let's move on to Fury against Usyk.
Okay.
Give us your thoughts.
My thoughts is this. It had to take Saudi Arabia to make this fight happen, right? Let's just be real. We're talking about that oil money, right? We're talking about His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh saying, listen, who's a boxing fan, you know this, right? Who's actually a guy who actually, he knows boxing. So imagine, that's like me giving you a big, massive pot of endless money and saying, make this stuff happen. So you're going to live out your passion. He's made his passion not only become his paycheck, but his purpose. So we got that's massive. I got props on another level. Not only that, it's giving eyeballs to Saudi Arabia. Do you know what I mean? Which I think is good, because people, when you go to some place like when you've been there now, it dismisses the stereotype. Stereotype, Saudi, whoa. That's nonsense. Until you go there, you know, right? And I think that's beautiful. And to see Undisputed Heavyweight Championship out there, similarly to October of 1974, Ali and Foreman, it brought spotlight to a country. Nobody knew of the Congo, of Zaire at that time. They didn't. We know about Saudi Arabia, but we're going to have it to know, like, that's where the last Undisputed Heavyweight Championship fight, because you know what's going to happen. After they, similar to when Lennox Lewis beat Evander Holyfield, what was that, November 13th, 1999, so it's 25 years next year. Mad, right?
Yeah.
You remember watching it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Exactly, right? So I see Tyson Fury coming out successful in this because I think he's too big, too strong. Even though Usyk is amazingly tricky, and we saw him at the dinner, which I saw you and Dev presenting out there. You've done a really good job out there.
That was wild, you know. Some of the people we spoke to.
Sides, on his sides, Usyk is now like you. He's a heavyweight now.
Yeah,
right. Before I was like, little cruiserweight. Yeah, no, he's grown into the weight. So he's going to cause a problem to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has to be at his penultimate best to defeat Usyk, because he's a tricky southpaw, and he's not even a tricky southpaw to he's really elusive. He's tricky because his ring generalship and his IQ is head and shoulders above anybody, and I'm including Klitschko, that Tyson Fury was dealing with.
Okay, we'll let you go and take your seat, because the press conference is not too far away from starting.
Always
great to see you. Always great to see you.
Love, bro.
So the principal players are just assembling backstage. We're not too far away now. Dev Sani just taking his seat in the middle of the top table there. Did a fantastic job yesterday. He's really kind of taken to that role, I think, actually. I'm seeing these presses. It's not always the easiest thing in the world to do, to be perfectly honest. I found myself in the middle of a very interesting one involving Joseph Parker and David Higgins and Peter Fury once at the Landmark Hotel in London. But that is definitely a story for another time. Interesting to hear people's breakdowns of what they feel is going to happen in this fight. Generally speaking, they're quite undecided, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think their last two performances haven't helped anyone either, because they're both left question marks for different reasons against very different opponents as well. So you look at it and you're thinking, okay, well, whatever conception I had before, it might have changed now because of Fury's last performance or because of Usyk's last performance. And then you look through the history and stuff, and your question is Usyk big enough to deal with Fury? But Fury's had problems with southpaws in the past, and there's a lot of different variables to this fight. And I think, one, that's why it's so captivating. I think that's why it's so interesting. Two, they're obviously very big personalities at the top of their game. So there's just so much kind of swirling around in one bowl for just you to pick out one point and say, I think this is what it's going to be. It's that mystery is what makes for a great matchup.
Do you feel like there's any chance we might see something different from either of them physically when we see them on the scales or during the week? Because Usyk's come in at pretty much bang on 220, and he looks good. You know, he seems to maximise his attributes there. Fury more recently has been in the 270s. There's always a possibility maybe that he could come in a little bit lower for the greater mobility, or do you feel like he'll want to stay at that higher weight and try and impose it on Usyk?
Yeah, especially being the smaller man, there's a balance you need to kind of figure out between being big enough to be a level of imposing in the ring and maintain that size, also being able to absorb shots from a much bigger man as well, and having a bit more weight on you does help with that, but also playing into Usyk's game of him being a very mobile and agile fighter and moving around the ring. He doesn't obviously want to sacrifice that either, because as well, Fury's no slouch. He likes to bounce around that ring as well, so he will be able to keep up with Usyk for the most part as they're both kind of flying around the ring. So adding a few extra pounds the wrong way may not be the way to go.
I mean, they've both boxed out there, obviously, because Tyson's done it just recently, and Usyk boxed against Joshua in Jeddah. That was last August. Is fight week different? Did you find it like notably different from being in the UK? Forget the fact that you're in a different country, just the day-to-day regime of it, because going out isn't really an option. It's so hot outside, everything's kind of enclosed. Lots of air conditioning. They might sound like small things, but sleeping in a room where you can't open the window, different things could get to people.
Yeah, it was it was a very different fight week for me. I haven't gone to a gala dinner at 10 p.m. on a Friday night before the fight before, so that was quite new for me. But the experience of the week was different because you are indoors a lot, and it was funny actually because me and my team really paid a lot of attention to the heat and the weather and making sure I was always going to be hydrated and things like that. But then very much when we got there, we found ourselves just moving from an air-conditioned building to an air-conditioned car to then an air-conditioned building again, and it was just bouncing around between those things, especially in the middle of it when it's the hottest in the middle of the day. Or however, we weren't really doing too much outside or stuff. Almost to the point by about Wednesday or so, we said I need to be outside a bit more. I need a bit more kind of fresh air because I'm just moving from building to building or car to car. So that was actually quite a different one that we had to kind of navigate and pay attention to because it worked a bit backwards than actually how we thought we might.
And for these two as well, there'll be a huge. Everybody will want a piece of them during fight week because this is a global event. The scale of it, they have to be careful, don't they, that they don't give too much of themselves during that process. I mean, fighters generally, day by day, they'll just retreat a little bit further towards fight mode. So maybe you do that kind of thing at the start of the week, but the rules over there are slightly different. If your attendance is required at the gala dinner on the Friday night, then you're going.
Yeah, exactly. When you get asked to go to them things, you're going to go because you want to be a part of the event. You want to be a part of the experience in the moment. I think it takes a level of experience to manage yourself and manage those moments as well, and allow yourself enough time to go through it, but also go right. Still have your head switched on and be like, right, well, I don't need to be out till 2 in the morning. I can go for a couple of hours, go home, rest, and get everything in that I need to do. You need to find that smart balance of not having it affect your week too much or take over from your training, because ultimately that's all that matters on the night. And then you can't be getting in the ring and you lose and say, oh no, it's because I had too many hot cross buns at the dinner.
I do expect it to be close. And when it's a really close fight, often corners could play a really big part because they've got to make sure they're reading the fight. Obviously around Tyson, he's been training with Sugar Hill for a good while now. Andy Lee will be in the corner. Those are two very wise consiglieres. Usyk's team, it's a very tight circle. Yuri Tkachenko has been with him for a long time. And the guys you see in his corner, there's a bit of crossover there with Lomachenko's. Again, they're a real tight crew. That kind of thing can be so important, can't it? Because we look at these two guys and we know how good they are, and that to an extent they're able to figure it out, but you can't do it all by yourselves. And in a fight of this magnitude that could be really, really close, the corners could be key.
Yeah, it's very much, it's almost unknown to an extent of how much during a fight week, and especially on a fight night, you rely on your team, you lean on them to be your insulation from certain things and keeping you away from certain problems and keeping you focused on the fight, keeping you mindful of everything you need to be, staying on your drills, staying on your plan. And like even with mine, all my team have all different roles, and they're all things I can do myself, but they're there, your team's there to lighten the load on you because of what you've got on Saturday night.
And just talk to us about the ring walk, because we'll kind of go backstage, or if you're watching on TV coverage, the fighter might have a quick word with a reporter a good while before they really zone in, and then we'll go in and we'll see the hands getting wrapped, and that's the point at which I would usually say if I'm commentating, and you can see how locked in they are there, waiting for their hands to get wrapped. But remember, Barry Jones made a great point to me a while ago, which is that ritual, that's the first time when you get to the dressing room where prior to that you can do whatever you want, but that's the first time where you have to sit down.
You're locked in.
And be still, be absolutely still. And that never really occurred to me, but that's always a big. Is it for you from that moment on where you think, okay, game time?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a funny one because you feel the tension of the night build over time, and you get to your change room, have a look around, you get stuff out, you lay things where you need to be, and then maybe you walk out and go have a look at the arena and have a look around a bit, and you can still mingle and kind of play around for maybe an hour or so before you have to kind of slowly settle in. For me especially, my thing is keep everything as relaxed as possible for as long as possible. I try, and people actually find it quite funny when they come into my change room, like when you get your hands wrapped and the other team comes and watches, I'm playing like really old school R&B songs and like Marvin Gaye and things like that. It was like there's love songs playing in my change room while I'm trying to just stay, and I'm sitting there chilling, singing along, and just like trying to keep everything very one level and just very easy going until I decide, timing wise, right, it's time to build things up. The music will change, my demeanor will change, my attitude will change, and we'll raise things up. But at least for me, I want to keep everything as relaxed and save as much of that energy, that excited energy, for as long as possible, and then use it all on the night.
Okay, well, we are now very nearly ready to go. Those principal players just waiting to file in backstage. They've both been here for quite some time. As I say, they've done a face-off, a sit-down with our broadcast partners, TNT. And now we will see how these two are around each other, Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk, for the first time since this fight was officially announced. Let's go to our MC, Mr. Thomas Schreiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launch press conference for Ring of Fire, Fury versus Usyk, Undisputed, to be held on February 17th, 2024 in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Let's first welcome the manager of Oleksandr Usyk, Mr. Gyspy King. Let's welcome the promoter of Oleksandr Usyk, Mr. Alex Krasiuk of K2 Promotions. And now let's welcome from Ukraine, undefeated with 21 wins. 14 of his 21 wins come by way of knockout. He is the former undisputed cruiserweight world champion and reigning IBF, WBA, WBO, and IBO heavyweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk. Let's now welcome the manager of Tyson Fury, Spencer Brown of Gold Star Promotions. Let's now welcome Hall of Fame promoter, Frank Warren of Queensberry Promotions. And now let's welcome from England, undefeated with 34 wins, 1 draw, 24 of his 34 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the lineal heavyweight world champion and reigning WBC heavyweight champion of the world, known as the Gyspy King, Tyson Fury. And now here is the host of today's press conference, Mr. Dev Sani.
Thank you very much, Thomas Treiber. Great intros there. Hello, welcome wherever you are joining us around the world here today for what is very simply a very special moment. At the highest level of sport and entertainment, it is all about creating moments. Moments that capture the attention of the world. Moments that create memories that last a lifetime. And we believe on February the 17th, we will deliver you one of those very, very special moments in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as we continue Riyadh season. The first undisputed world heavyweight champion of this century will be crowned. 2 unbeaten heavyweights at the peak of their powers, at the very best, will be colliding in a fight that the fans have been crying out for. The WBC and long-reigning lineal world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury collides with the unified world heavyweight champion Oleksandr Usyk at the Kingdom Arena in a history-making bout that fans will never forget. The winner of this fight will be the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis in 1999. It's a huge event, and the Ring of Fire is the name of the event, the biggest fight in world boxing. It'll be presented to fans worldwide by the General Entertainment Authority of Saudi Arabia in conjunction with Frank Warren's Queensberry Promotions, the NEC, Gold Star Promotions and Gyspy King, Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, K2 Promotions, Usyk 17 Promotions and Seller. On behalf of Queensberry, we would like to once again express our gratitude, our heartfelt thanks to His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. And of course, we would again like to extend our thanks to the Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. And of course, a special thanks to all of the teams of the GEA, Riyadh season and Seller as we continue to work together to deliver historic nights that the Kingdom will never forget. A special mention, of course, to Bob Arum of Top Rank Incorporated. He is still going, he is still flying the flag. He's promoting a show tonight in the States, which is why he can't be with us. So best of luck, Bob. Best of luck, Top Rank, with that show tonight. I'm sure we will be tuning in. Before we begin, let's just take a moment to talk about our wonderful hosts in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh season, for this sensational event on February 17th. Riyadh season has simply become one of the most widely anticipated events of the year, welcoming millions of visitors from all over the world since 2019 with quite breathtaking experiences. Whether it's five-star dining, live concerts, or high-level sports that you're looking for, Riyadh Season is the place to find it. And just last month, boxing had the privilege of opening up Riyadh Season, of course, with the man sat just there, Tyson Fury taking on Francis Ngannou in an unforgettable event, certainly an event I will never forget, that had the world talking, and the world will be talking for decades and decades to come. On February 17th, history will be made in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and either Tyson Fury or Oleksandr Usyk will be crowned the new, undisputed world heavyweight champion. We can't wait for this one. Let's bring in first Hall of Fame boxing promoter Frank Warren. Frank, this is a pivotal moment in boxing. This is absolutely huge. Talk to us a little bit about this event.
First of all, I would want to thank His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman for his support and help in making this happen, and to His Excellency, the Chairman of GEA, His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh. He's been absolutely brilliant in getting this together and giving the support to make this historic event happen. This is a historic event. The whole world of boxing has been waiting for this for, I can't tell you how long, many, many years, and they now got the biggest fight in the sport, and that is thanks to you and your team making it happen. We greatly appreciate that. For me, as a boxing fan, I'm a promoter, but I am a boxing fan, it doesn't get any better than this. We've got it here at the table. Two great fighters, both undefeated. 17th of February, Riyadh, in the Riyadh season, you're going to see a magnificent fight. It will be magnificent because they are magnificent boxers. The styles will make it a good fight, and I'm sure that all around the world, everybody's going to be tuned in to see history being made. The first time this century, we will have a unified champion. Watch it. Be there. Watch it. Wherever you can be at the time to see it, watch this moment in boxing history, in sporting history, because they come along very, very rarely.
Look, we've heard about this fight for a little while. We are finally here now. We saw the huge launch press conference yesterday as well of the Day of Reckoning. It feels like with Riyadh Season, with His Excellency involved, anything's possible right now, Frank.
It is. I mean, look at yesterday. Yesterday was, as I said, it's a game changer. Well, this is a double game changer. You know, it's just happening. You know, these fights, you know, we've all been, you know, as a promoter, I've been banging my head against the wall. I know the fans have been doing that. They've been banging my head against the wall because they want to see these fights. And now they're happening. And to crown it all, we've got the creme de la creme. This is it, the creme de la creme, the heavyweight division, the big division in boxing. These two undefeated, magnificent fighters are going to be facing up each other, and we're going to see who's the best. I know who I believe is the best, and I'm sure the other side think their man will be. And if they want to have a little wager with me, I'd gladly have a wager with them, because I'm confident that our man, this man here, who has also, by the way, been voted today the world's sexiest man in a poll. Get up! He beat Ronaldo. Who? Ronaldo was second, and Tommy was 13th. So now you know.
So now I've got bragging rights in the family. Tommy, you ugly bastard, if you're watching, number 13. And I just want to say big shout out to everyone who supported me, all my friends and family for this moment. Very, very special. Sexiest sportsman alive. Never say never, people. Always believe in yourself. If you're fat and you're bald, you're probably going to get laid. Get up!
That's great news. Congratulations on that, Tyson. Just quickly, Frank, before we move on to Alex Krasik, I just want you to break down this great fight with me. We've got the world's sexiest sportsman against Oleksandr Usyk here. Break down the fight for me. How's it going to go?
Look, I can only say, based upon how I've seen, you know, Tyson's last few fights and Alex's last few fights, and you'd expect, obviously, people would say, well, Tyson, they're both boxers. Tyson's a switch hitter. Alex is a southpaw. But, you know, on the night, you never know. I just think it'll be a fight. There's a lot at stake here. And all I know, in Tyson's last, 4 or 5 fights, He stood toe-to-toe. He stood toe-to-toe with the biggest punching heavyweight in the last 40 years and out-duked him. You know, it was exciting, and that's what he's capable of. He can box, he's got fast hands, he's got great boxing brain, and he copes and adapts to each situation. And I genuinely do believe this will be exciting whilst it lasts. And I mean whilst it lasts. This is going to be something special.
All right, thank you very much, Frank. Let's bring in Alex Krasik here. You've just heard from Frank. He says it's going to be exciting while the fight lasts. From your side, this must be quite a proud moment. You've been with Oleksandr for many, many years now, and he's finally going for undisputed World Heavyweight Championship crown. Talk to us.
Dev, thanks for giving me the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, I must warn you, I have a speech to announce, and it will take a while. To say I'm delighted to be here is to say nothing. Of course, everyone understands this. We have been chasing this fight for so long, and finally it's happening. And I can hardly believe, and I will probably start believing when I hear the first bell ring, but we are making steps towards it. You know what? I want to emphasize something very important for me. I never used this opportunity, the public opportunity, to do so. And this is actually the first time. So I would like to express my sincere admiration, my respect and honor to the man who's sitting next to me, on my left. We are all here because of him. Because due to his dedication, due to his faith in God and in himself, due to the tremendously hard work. We have started our journey long 10 years ago when we signed the professional boxing promotional contract. And within this time, all people know what's been achieved. But I never used the chance to thank this man. Usyk, accept my most sincere gratitude for your trust and friendship, and for giving me the opportunity to be your promoter throughout all this period. It's the highest recognition for me to be with you since your pro debut until the culmination of your career. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you for a round of applause for this so humble but so powerful man. Thank you. I also want to arouse my delightedness with His Excellency, Turkey Al-Sheikh. When I first met this man, I felt the endless source, of inspiration, of energy, and of motivation. The perpetuum mobile, the endless, perpetual engine, right? The man who is capable of achieving the impossible. People like him create age revolutions, and I'm pretty convinced His Excellency is on the way of making the revolution in professional boxing, and not only. Your Excellency, thank you very much. The third man I want to talk about before he stands up and starts to walk around the table, Tyson, Fury. Thank you very much, brother, for your courage and bravery to accept the fight with the future undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Thank you so much. Let the fight go on.
You're welcome. You're welcome to share in the ring with the future heavyweight undisputed champion, me. Yous are all dossers. He's getting knocked out, and yous two are going to be working for me, carrying me bag slinks. So remember that. Remember I said it on this stage.
Let the fight go on.
Let's get the press conference going, sausage.
Win.
Let your man
and
talk.
Let the belts come back home to Ukraine.
Rubbish.
Thank you, ladies
I already
and
relieved one
gentlemen.
Ukrainian of all the belts.
Glory
and
to
I
the
relieved
heroes.
that idiot of the belts that I gave him, including me ring magazine that I only vacated last year so I could win it back 3 times, sausage. I'm going to bust him. Sausage, ugly little man, rabbit. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run. More. I don't want a more. You know what's coming. You're getting smashed to pieces, sausage. You're fighting the best British heavyweight there's ever been. The fucking dauntless in these waters, me. You beat all the rest of them, but you ain't beat Tyson Fury yet, sausage. Look at him, his heart's pounding now. He's like a little pussy with an earring in. Shit house. His bollocks have shriveled up now, they have. Little sausage.
I don't
sissy
more
with an earring
speak.
in, you fucking pussy.
I'm
Get
very
knocked back
happy
out.
to be here. Thank you so much, everybody, people. I more speak in the ring.
Very good, very good.
Thank you.
Get knocked out, motherfucker. Out cold, sausage. Rabbit. And you two promoters are going to be working for me as bag carriers.
We will see, yeah.
Yeah, we will see.
Uh-huh.
You can't beat me. You can never beat me. If you beat me in your dreams, you better wake up and apologise. I stole that from Ali, by the way, sorry.
Enough?
Do you have a response, Oleksandr?
Let's go ahead.
Hey, my friend.
That was a small
You stop? Maybe enough?
Sorry?
Enough?
Enough what?
You stop talk?
I come here to pick a fight. I didn't come here to play games. I didn't get all dressed up for nothing. I come here to fight. Or pick one even. You ugly little man. You ugly little man. Little man.
Yeah, little. Yes, I little man.
No, you're not that little. You're about average size for an heavyweight.
I little man, but I big champion.
You're about average size for an heavyweight. 6'3", 16 stone. That's about how big they come usually. Perfect size. Perfect size.
Thank you, Tyson. Thank you, Oleksandr. We'll come back to that very shortly. I just want to hear from I want to bring in Spencer Brown at this point. Spencer, you've obviously been working very closely on this event with Queensberry, with His Excellency as well. You sat there next to Tyson, who's telling Oleksandr exactly what he's going to do. Tell us your thoughts heading into this one.
My thoughts are very quick and very easy. I don't think there's anybody alive who can beat Tyson Fury. No heavyweight, no cruiserweight, anybody who can beat him. I think that there was nobody to beat him in the last, I don't know how many years. He's undefeated, he'll remain undefeated. He'll win this one, and he'll win the next one, and the next one, and the next one. I can't see anybody beating this man.
Get up there, Spencer.
Go on, my son.
Go on, son.
Thank you, Spencer. Let's bring in Egis Klimas. Egis, a big moment in the career, the mountaintop moment potentially of Oleksandr Usyk. Tell us what you're thinking about this fight.
Good evening, everybody. Pleasure to be here in London. First of all, I wanted to thank His Excellency to making things what he does in boxing. And second, what I wanted to say, this is the easiest fight I ever made in my career. One day I got a phone call from Tyson's friend, Tim, and Tim said to me, Egis, Tyson wants this fight. And I said, Oleksandr wants this fight as well. And then he says, let me pass your number to the manager of Tyson. And I think if you two gonna get in the room, the fight is gonna be made. Next thing, I have a phone call from Spencer, and he asked me to fly to New York. Next morning, I already was in New York. We got in the room, Spencer, Dr. Khan, myself, and about in the 1 hour of our talk, we left the room with a handshake, and the fight was made. That's where we are here. Looking forward for these two guys to bring a firework in the ring, to bring to the fans one of the greatest, biggest fight in the history was made. And I'm so proud to be involved in this kind of a fight. I wanted to thank my man, Oleksandr, for what he does. Again, His Excellency, beautiful country, Saudi Arabia. We'll see you on February 17th.
Thank you, Egis Klimas. Well, let's bring in the unified world heavyweight champion, Oleksandr Usyk. Oleksandr, I have heard you talk about absolute, undisputed, becoming undisputed world heavyweight champion for so long now. The moment has arrived. Tell us what you're thinking, Oleksandr.
Я б міг говорити англійською, але я не все скажу. Моя англійська ще не така гарна, як я хочу.
My English is not sufficient enough, not as good enough as I want it to be, so I will start in Ukrainian, please.
Алекс мені допоможе.
Alex will help me.
Я хочу розказати одну історію, яка дуже схожа на нашу з Тайсоном.
I want to tell one story which looks very similar to our story with Tyson.
Про Давіда і Голіафа.
About David and Goliath.
Коли Господь дасть мені його в руки, то я зроблю свою роботу.
When the Lord gives me Tyson in my hands, I will make my job.
Impossible. The Lord would never deliver me to you, son. Ever.
У Господа нічого немає неможливого.
You, ever. Never.
The Lord has nothing impossible.
Nothing's impossible, but he'd never deliver me to you. Especially a man wearing earrings. Ever. Believe that. When you sleep at night, ugly man, you got to think of me for the next 8 weeks. Think of me, because I'm going to punch your face in.
Oleksandr, do you have any response to these comments, what that Tyson's saying?
He can't have any response, because it's true.
No.
No response, okay.
No comments.
No comment. Listen, Tyson, you have written many pages in heavyweight history so far. Chance to write another one, Undisputed. Please, take the floor.
Listen, I'm getting a little bit carried away here. I'm excited and I'm enjoying it. So before I kick off even more, I want to say a big thank you to Turkey Al Sheikh for putting it on. It was only last year, all these boxing fights seemed impossible to make. And Turkey Al Sheikh, His Excellency, has made them all in 5 minutes, it seems like that. So yeah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, get up! Get up, Turkey Al Sheikh. Yeah, and back to this, look. I've been in many, many heavyweight title fights before. It is what it is. And now is the most important one. You know, me and Oleksandr, both undefeated. He's a champion, I'm a champion. And it's going to be one of the fights for the ages, you know. Someone told me the other day, it's been 24 years since we had a last undisputed world heavyweight champion. Now, we know that the both Klitschko's was champions for around about 10 years. So there's been another 14 years where all the heavyweights couldn't do it. So we've been chosen. And I believe we're both destined to be here and to be in this big fight in Saudi Arabia, the Ring of Fire. And there's only one winner. And I'm destined to become the undisputed champion. And more than that, I'm destined to cement my legacy as the #1 fighter of this era. And to do that, I've got to beat this little man. And that's it. Simple as. Easier said than done, I understand. He's a tricky man, good boxer, slick, all of that. But listen, I've seen many, many people like him before. And when they fight the big men, they struggle. And he's going to struggle on February 17th, and he will lose. I will break him, for sure.
Tyson, you've referred to him as a middleweight before. You've talked about his size. But he was big enough to beat Derek Chisora, Daniel Dubois, and Anthony Joshua. Yeah. Why is he not big enough to beat Tyson Fury?
Because they're all bums. That's probably it. For never mind the size, he is a middleweight, boxer 75 kilo, but it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And obviously he's got a big fight inside of him. But when you meet a big man who's a lot bigger than you, who's also got the fight inside of you, let's just put it in a nutshell, you're fucked. And that's it.
Oleksandr, what do you think when Tyson Fury calls you a middleweight and he talks to you like this? What do you think?
Maybe it's true. I don't know. For me, it doesn't matter, you know. Tyson Fury every time a lot of speak, but for me, it doesn't matter.
Oleksandr, you have faced off with Tyson Fury a couple of times now. Now, after the Derek Chisora fight, he was in your face, he was very loud, he said a few things. Then after the Francis Ngannou fight, it was a bit more quiet. Have you taken anything from these face-offs when you've looked into his eyes?
Для себе так. В перший раз, коли ми бачили фейс-офф, Тайсон Ф'юрі був дуже енергічний, дуже веселий та дуже мотивований.
The first time I made a face-off with Tyson after Chisora fight, he was very motivated, with high energy, with high spirits.
Останній раз він був втомлений.
The last time he was exhausted.
Well, Tyson, let me bring you in here. Is this the biggest threat you faced so far?
Nowhere near. Easy fight. Nowhere near the biggest threat. He's a boxer. We know he's a slick boxer, southpaw. He ain't the biggest puncher in the world. And he's not the biggest, strongest man in the world. So, listen, I can outbox him. I can get on the front foot and slaughter him. There's plenty of ways that I can skin this cat. But we'll find out on the night. And listen, obviously it's a no contest when we're up here talking shite, because I'm speaking to myself and they're conferring amongst each other and yada, yada, yada. But we're not here to talk. It's not a talking contest, because it's just not. It's a boxing match. And on February 17th, all the talking's out the window. Nothing matters what you've said or what I've said. It comes down to who's going to win the fight. And that's what pay-per-view's for. And that's what these boxing fights are for, is it not? For people to tune in and watch who's going to fucking win the fight. And that's it. There's nothing more to be said. He thinks he's going to win, maybe. I think I know I'm going to win. And that's it. There's nothing more anyone can say. That's it. There's not much more to be said, is there?
There's not. I've got one more for you, though. After his fight with Daniel Dubois,
yeah,
you said that he quit in that fight.
I did think so, yes.
Talk to us about that.
I think he got hit in the body, a good body shot, and he didn't want to get up for 5 minutes. So, yeah, there you have it.
Oleksandr, any response to that?
Cheers, man.
Та мені взагалі без різниці, що він думає.
I absolutely don't care of what Tyson thinks of that.
Thank you, Oleksandr Usyk. I think
well, here's the question then. Did you get hit low or not?
Була перемога. Руку підняли мені.
Did he get hit low? I watched boxing
Суддя зафіксував, що цей удар був нижче пояса.
So yeah, there you are.
Говорите,
crawling around the floor
ви не
like a
можете
little
виграти
bitch,
чисто, і ви намагаєтесь виграти грязними діями. В цьому світі так не працює. Цей світ білий і пухнастий.
Tyson, your interpretation is not precise.
And his two boys next to him will be all making excuses. Oh, yada yada, he was too big, he's only a cruiserweight, yada yada yada. You know the score, same old shite. Is there anything else? Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm here all night.
Thank you very much, Tyson. Thank you, everyone at this table. Frank, I'm just going to come to you here to close up this press conference here today. It's whet the appetite. We've got an undisputed fight. Talk to us. Final thoughts.
It's simply history. It's history. On the 17th of February, we are, for the first time this century, going to
all get what we want.
Exactly. You get what you want, what you've been asking for, and we will have a unified heavyweight champion in Riyadh season. It will be a fantastic night for boxing, because we'll see who is the best heavyweight on the planet who's sitting next to me.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Frank, here's a question for you. I thought I was afraid to fight him.
How long have we been trying to make this fight?
I don't know, but what happened to all the chat of me being afraid and I was a chicken and I was a shithouse and I won't fight Oleksandr Usyk and he's a killer and all that? What happened to that?
Well, we signed for it last year and it didn't happen, not down to you.
I know, but like all of this talk, Tyson's scared of Oleksandr, he doesn't want to fight. What we're doing here now then?
Well, we're here and it's going to happen. And on the 17th, they're going to, look, history, as I say, will be made.
Tyson, the problem is that today is not February 17th and the fight is not happening yet. But
yes, it's happening.
We will pray.
Unless your man pulls out, it's not happening. The only person who pull out is you guys.
Sorry, you give your word. I'll just say one thing, and this is a fact. The last time we signed for this fight, which was last year, you pulled out. Yeah?
Yep.
So now we've got it on now, and you can't pull out twice, and we won't pull out. I know you're not going to pull out, and we Tyson certainly isn't.
This fight is on, and all we got to focus on is what will happen on that night.
We'll find out, Frank, won't we?
We will find out.
Cliffhanger.
It will be.
What's going to happen?
It's going to be a magnificent occasion for boxing. I promise you, it's going to be a great, great night for boxing.
Thank you, gentlemen. On February 17th, only one man will be able to walk this earth as the undisputed
Tyson Fury.
World Heavyweight Champion. Spencer Brown.
Tyson Fury. And thanks, Turkey Al Sheikh, as well, because you're the man behind this, and you made it all happen. Simple as that. Well done, Turkey.
You up there, my boy, Turkey.
We're actually going to do a face-off down the front now. We're going to welcome His Excellency, Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, Turkey Al Sheikh, to the stage. Thank you.
That must have been the pitch days. You was the best looking guy in all.
Who's it?
Wait there 1 minute.
Okay, grab some shit off this table, please. What?
Chris.
So Fabio, that was interesting. Fairly standard in a way from Fury, I think. But when he first started to go off at Usyk towards the start there, where he jumped in, for a second there, he did seem like he kind of lost control a little bit. It came
There was a
across
little
as
bite,
a bit
wasn't
unhinged.
there? There was a little nibble, wasn't there? I think he's very well controlled, and he knows what he's going to get we all do. You know what you're going to get when you're at a table with Fury. You know he's going to have a lot to say. He's going to come up with some quippy one-liners or whatever else. So he's always going to have a lot to go on about. Like I said previously, I think Usyk's pick for this is to let him almost, you know. This almost sounds a bit mean to say, but I guess when you let a kid kind of just wear themselves out, I think that's kind of the approach that Usyk's taking.
Well, Sylvester Stallone on stage, and this is just an indication of how big this is, because Stallone, with that Rocky franchise, every fighter I know knows those films. Every fighter I know can quote those films, because that is all about the struggle, those Rocky movies, and there are so many lessons, so many scenarios that equate to real life in them. They are such a hit. They resonate so deeply with fighters. So great to see him as part of this. Now these two just getting into the face-to-face. Fury just looking to try and get his forehead bearing down on Usyk and impose himself on him, impose that physicality on him. Usyk is not looking to take any kind of a backward step here. Now this
Knocking you out, Usyk.
is an interesting dynamic, because he wasn't looking to try and shove him there. He wasn't looking to really go too far, Fury, but he wanted to make some kind of a statement there, Fabio.
Yeah, just let him know. Let him know that I think he mentioned it a lot in the press as well, about Usyk's size, about how big Fury is himself as well. It's a clear point that he wants to impose himself, impose his size, and let the smaller man know that he's in there with, well, a man he's shared the ring with in terms of size and stature before.
And I'm going to knock him out. Come on! Smack out!
Fury taking centre stage,
I'll show you what heavyweight does to a
as
middleweight.
he very much likes to do.
A proper one.
It's almost slightly different from Fury, this, because you've seen him animated before. He likes to have a top, but him getting in the face of someone, and obviously they're jibing at Usyk's team behind him. So there's a bit more to it than you've seen from him before. He likes to do the playful role of say some little comments and make some jokes and take the mick, but this is a bit more aggressive. There's a bit more spite there, which is interesting.
I think that's exactly the right word, actually. There's a bit more spite and aggression there, as you say. Generally speaking, it's all fun and games with Fury. He keeps it quite light. He likes to insult his opponents. He likes to trash talk, but it can be mostly tongue-in-cheek. And towards the end there, he kind of rode back slightly and talked about how it doesn't really matter who says what at this stage. It's about the fight on the 17th. Tukiel Sheikh in the centre there. Photo with the two fighters, and Sylvester Stallone just poised behind him. Netflix documentary out about Stallone at the minute, which I watched the other day. It's a fascinating life story. It really is. And handshakes all around on that stage.
Getting it, we're getting it now. This is it. 17 was this is it.
Okay. Usyk would rise to it. Stood his ground when they were face to face, which you absolutely have to, of course, but he wasn't looking to rise to anything that Fury had to say to him. I think Tyson is heading this way fairly shortly, so I'll just keep my eye on the screen. I think he's going to be approaching us from the stage. He's just getting his jacket put back on him now. Stallone just exiting stage left. Usyk still up there, just soaking up this occasion. A fight week is something that Fury absolutely lives for. He lives and breathes it, Tyson. Always has done, always will do. Tyson, I was just saying that these kinds of occasions, you know, they are kind of made for you, aren't they? But you seemed a little bit different today.
Fucking born for this.
Fabio said it himself.
I'm having it large.
He said he
large
felt that,
and in charge.
He said he felt that there was a bit more spite from you up there today than normal.
Listen, I'm here to fight. Come here to pick a fight with Oleksandr. It's hard speaking to a foreigner who don't really speak good English back. I'm up there on my own, and they're conferring what to say. Like, it's not natural. It's very unnatural. But listen, we're here to fight. Let's get it on.
What was that? You was a bit more closer. You put your head on his. You put some weight on him. Was that just to let him know that look, he's in with the bigger man, or what was that?
It just wasn't like putting a bigger man. It's just we're here for a fight. Let's get at it, son.
Trying to G him up.
Give me a little shove back. I think he's scared to death. He's rattled. His balls are twitching now, boys. His arsehole's flapping.
I just wonder what were the few days or the week or so after the fight on October the 28th like for you? Did it take long to get it out of your system?
What?
The fight against Ngannou, or did you just move straight on from that?
I've just been paid fucking nearly 50 million quid. Are you stupid or what? I've been out thinking about buying super yachts, jumbo jets, mansions, all sorts of stuff. Can't believe it. Get up. And by the way, here's an announcement. I've won sexiest athlete alive.
Yeah, we saw.
Unbelievable.
Who else was in the listings that you beat then?
Ronaldo, beat Ronaldo. Haaland, beat them all. You should have seen me sexy pick as well. It was me all fat, loved it. It must have been the dad bod and the bald dad that done it for me.
It does it. If it works, it works.
What was it like having Sylvester Stallone up there? Because that just gives you an idea of how big this is. I didn't know he was going to be here.
Yeah, it doesn't get any bigger than having old Sly up there. I'm quite friendly with him. I know his brother-in-law really well. I spoke to him quite a bit on the phone as well, so it's unbelievable. You know it's go time when you got Rocky here.
You absolutely do. In all seriousness, how highly do you rate Oleksandr Usyk as a boxer?
Listen, I'm going to knock him out. I can knock him out or I can outbox him. Either way. I'll let him take the pick. I'll ask him next time we meet, does he want outboxing or does he want stopping?
Are you paying a lot of attention to that Dubois fight where you said on the stage as well that you felt like he quit, like he'd taken him? Is that something you're really taking a note from, to think that you can make him do the same?
Not just that. It's just like, I've seen him all his career. I've seen him as a cruiserweight, seen him as a heavyweight. I got nothing to really fear with Oleksandr. Maybe a graze on the face or a busted nose or something. It ain't going to do much to me, is it? You know what I mean? Like, I think even if he had a baseball bat in one hand and a meat cleaver in the other, he couldn't really do much to me. I'd still beat him. So it is what it is. And listen, it's all right me talking, like I said up there. I'm not getting anything back from him. So it's about the fight on the night, and that's it. Can't say any more, can we?
I mean, do you feel like the best is yet to come for you?
Yeah, we're only just getting started. Wait till I get my next suit on for the next conference. Look at this, undisputed suit with the Kings inside. Get up, what a showstopper. What a good-looking chavvy I am. Get up there. I feel like I've had about 4 beers already. Where's the party?
Ready to go, ready
well,
to
you've been on fine form, but as I say, you know, it was... Did you... In these press conferences, do you ever expect to get a real bite from someone like Usyk, or do you know that it's really just going to wash over him?
I've said it many times, it doesn't mean anything. You say a million things, talk a lot of shite, but when you get in there, it's the fight, innit? All his mates ain't going to get in, all my people ain't getting in. It's just us two in a ring, and that's it, the best man will win. I think the best man's me. I think he knows it's me, and that's it, end of. If he beats me, I shake his hand. If I beat him, I hope he shakes my hand. Fair play, it's a fight, innit? It's a boxing match. Either way, he's going to be very rich off me, making him a ton of money in excess of 30 million. Can't be bad, can it, for a boxing match? I'd fight me for that.
I wouldn't fight you for that.
I'd fight me for that.
I'll give it a go.
You might.
I'll give it a go.
I don't think I would.
He's going to be up there, this fella. I was very impressed with his last fight. He's a very good boxer. I've sparred him in the past. Almost put me in cuckoo land with a big right hand. He's a good fighter, very good fighter. And he's got a very good attitude. He's a gentleman in the sport. I think he's going a long way.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Just quickly before we let you go, a word on the announcement for the card yesterday that's going to be on the 23rd of December. I mean, that was quite mind-blowing, to be honest with you, the names that are on that card.
Yeah. There's some unbelievable names. Look, if you look at the last bill, there were some unbelievable fights on there. And look at this next bill, there's going to be some unbelievable fights on Wilder and Parker and Joshua and Walling and Miller and Dubois and Makhmedov and whoever else, Urkovic. They're just some brilliant fights. Heavyweight boxing is thriving at the moment with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And then on the February the 17th, there's me and Usyk and whoever's on the card as well. It's a very exciting time. One, to be a heavyweight, two, to be a boxer.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Good luck.
Pleasure,
and
pleasure.
I'll see you all on the night. Good
Congratulations
luck,
on the award.
Thank you. All the best. Sexiest man alive.
Okay, Tyson Fury. In pure Tyson Fury form. And
always a character. Always a character.
As he says,
I like that suit.
Well, he's
got a few more belts to get one of those.
Absolutely, yeah, maybe. But as he says, these events are made for talking, but ultimately, it doesn't matter, does it? No. You know, it all stops. You had plenty of talking in the build-up to your last fight, but you both know that when the bell goes, that's when it gets down to business. And you can tell that there is respect there from him for Usyk. There's no way that there wouldn't be, because he knows the pedigree of the man. He knows the fighting heart of the man. He mentioned it up there. You know, the size of the fight in him cannot be questioned. And I think we're in for something really special on the 17th.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, like I said, we saw what's been lined up for the 23rd, and this is the Undisputed. They were saying how historic it's going to be and how it's not been done like this for such a long period of time. So I think the Saudis themselves are only going to come up with something even bigger and even better for the 17th.
Okay, so I think Oleksandr Usyk is just wending his way past Tyson Fury and through the centre here. If we could just invite you in here, Oleksandr, nice to see you. Of course, you recognise this man?
Yeah. This man helped me many times, yeah.
So I have a question for you. Do you listen to anything that Tyson Fury says?
No. For me, it's a lot of speak head.
Like a talking head.
Talking head, yeah. Blah 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 blah.
Why do you think he's like that? Do you think it comes from a place of fear or worry about you or insecurity or?
Yes, of course. Людина так себе поводить, коли вона боїться.
Yes, that's true. The man behaves like that when he's afraid, when he doesn't feel comfort.
Чи вона не впевнена в чомусь.
Or he's not sure about anything.
What was it like for you watching the fight against Francis Ngannou? We saw you on your feet giving Fury advice. Were you worried that as you were watching it that this fight was never going to happen?
Ми бачили, як ти спостерігав за поєдинком Ф'юрі з Нгану. Ми бачили, що ти підводився і давав підказки Ф'юрі. Чи ти тоді хвилювався, що цей бій, що ваш бій може не відбутись?
Yes, of course. Yes. That I say, hey, jab, please, jab, move. But for me, it's a big opportunity. Yeah, Undisputed. For my family, my country.
my people, who now защищает. Defend my country. Yeah.
And from that fight, you looked at it. It wasn't obviously Fury's best performance. Do you look at flaws in his game and holes there that you can take advantage of?
Ти бачив, це, мабуть, був не найкращий виступ Ф'юрі. Чи ти будеш брати з цього якісь переваги для себе?
I know Tyson Fury next fight будет другим. Will be different, yeah. But I think Tyson Fury no serious this fight. It's MMA guy, blah blah blah. I win, I will champion. Yeah. It's my opinion. It's my opinion.
He took the fight easily. He was relaxed and already thought that he was going to win just by almost walking into the ring.
Yeah, very relaxed. Yeah, you know, third, second, free round, I think, but Tyson Fury do the show, yeah, like after knockdown, I think it's
wake up.
Yeah, it's not a show, but it's
real
bad.
Fight.
Yeah, it's a real fight. Yeah.
So you've been undisputed champion at cruiserweight. Have you always felt it's your destiny to become undisputed champion at heavyweight as well?
Ти був undisputed у крузервейті. Чи ти відчував, що це доля стати undisputed у хевівейті?
Нема ніякої долі. Господь дає мені можливість, а я її використовую. Слава Богу за все.
There is no destiny. The God gives me the opportunity and I'm using this opportunity. Thanks God for everything.
What kind of fight does he expect on the 17th?
Який бій ти очікуєш 17-го?
Неймовірний.
Extraordinary fight.
On the stage up there, he was getting in your face and trying to impose his size on you. Do you think that's how he's going to look at the fight as well? And try and be the bigger man and throw his weight around?
Він стояв на фейс-офі і намагався на тебе вивалити весь свій розмір. Думаєш, це те саме, що буде він робити в рингу 17-го?
А він зможе це зробити?
Will he be capable of doing that?
I don't know.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. It's always a great pleasure to speak to you. Stay healthy between now and February the 17th, and we look forward to seeing you in Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Oleksandr Usyk now being mobbed behind us for interviews, and
we'll have to shuffle this table forward a bit. Should we just pick it up and move it?
As a pairing, they're interesting, aren't they? They really are, because they're both pretty playful, aren't they? Usyk doesn't rise to what Fury is looking to say to him, and you do get the impression that it really is just kind of water off a duck's back, but he says he doesn't really believe in destiny there, and I understand the answer, but at the same time, I do feel like this is something he's been zeroing in on for a long, long time. When he stepped up to heavyweight, I do feel like this is what he expected to happen, that he would get into this kind of position. You never know if you'll win. All of you, when you go in there, you never really know what's going to happen, but I think he expected that he would be in a fight like this.
Yeah, I think after his amateur career, when he turned pro, he had a very clear vision of how he wanted to move through professional boxing, and he ticked off the cruiserweight division relatively comfortably, and he's done the same with the heavyweight division, of set his targets and set his sights and move through them quite concisely as well. So it's been great to see it all culminating on the 17th for the Undisputed.
I knew you'd sparred Usyk. I didn't know that you'd been in there with Fury as well. I mean, those two experiences, I mean, they're kind of invaluable, really. So you know what it's like trying to tackle someone like Tyson, who is 6'9", but has also got that movement that we talk about, a heavyweight who can move like a middleweight. It must be quite a unique challenge, even for somebody like Usyk.
Yeah, it's a task in itself for a multitude of reasons, because guys like that are very good at moving or very fluid or very light on their feet, they're not usually 6'9" either. So them two going together with him being so long and rangy and so fluid with his movement and comfortable, that all rolled into one boxer is such a difficult task. Those two components on their own to try and figure out are difficult enough if you've just got a really big man to get past or a really fleet-footed fighter to try and get to. But those rolled into one make it a much bigger task in itself.
Okay, so a couple of questions with regard to that. Who did you find it harder to land on out of the two?
I found it harder to land on Fury purely because of his size and stature. I almost felt at times, you know, when you see in a cartoon like one of them, they just hold their head on someone and like a kid or something, and they can't get to you, and they're just punched in the air. That's almost how I felt at times, trying to reach him, because obviously he understands how big he is and he knows that you've got to make your way to him 9 times out of 10. So he's very good at controlling that distance and just tapping you on your way in, throwing you off balance, and moving off and resetting the whole process again. And you're like, okay, let me try again. It felt like almost I bounced from corner to corner to corner to try and pin him, and had him figured out. But it was, it was quite a task.
Who hits harder, would you say, of the two of them?
It's maybe unfair, this, and I'll preface it by saying I've sparred a lot more rounds with Usyk than I have with Fury, but I've been hit harder by Usyk. But I think more so just because we sparred a lot more as opposed to sparring with Fury. Main man's back.
So Frank, that was interesting, as it generally is when Tyson is at the top table. But we were just saying that they're a good pair because it's pretty playful, isn't it, what goes down at those press conferences. Tyson just wants to get his juices flowing, create a few headlines. Usyk's not the kind of guy who's going to be browbeaten by anybody. The face-off was interesting though, wasn't it?
Let me tell you, none of that is staged. If it was, I certainly wouldn't have been in the middle of it, I can assure you.
Taking a few steps back.
Exactly, yeah. But look, Tyson's been very frustrated. It's just taken about, a year? It was signed last year. We signed for it last year. It didn't happen for various reasons, and it's happening now. And it's happening because of His Excellency, who's been the driving force behind it. So we got it done. And I think all that frustration has spilt over and built up. It's spilt over tonight. But look, what's happened tonight is totally irrelevant to what's going to happen on the 17th. They'll both be in the ring on the 17th, and that's when the real stuff happens. When the first bell goes and they get down on it, then you're going to see something special.
I mean, something unexpected seems to happen at every event that we come to, and today it was Sylvester Stallone. Just appearing on stage. That was. I mean, my mind was blown by that because I'm a massive fan.
Well, so am I, and he's here, and it was a nice touch to the promotion.
So how will the weeks be for you between now and the fight? You've got December the 23rd, of course, so that occupies
well, we've
your
got a
attention
show.
for now.
I've got a charity show tomorrow to raise money for Deborah, a charity that I'm involved with, and on Saturday we're in Manchester, TNT fight for the Magnificent Seven, which is 7 really good title fights on the card. All British fights, British fighters. The last time I did that one's a few years ago. I think about 6 of the guys went on to win world titles. So we've got a really excellent card on. It's a real fighting card. And we've got a couple more shows, about another 3 shows up before the 23rd.
Okay, Frank, thanks for joining us. Well,
pleasure.
that pretty much wraps it up from Outernet in Tottenham Court Road, Central London. The fight is here, the Ring of Fire, February the 17th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We will have the first fight for Undisputed since Lennox Lewis was crowned back at the end of the previous millennium. That's how long it has been. They've got this one over the line, and come the 17th of February, we will be seeing it. Thank you for your company. We'll catch you again next time.
Lovely.